So lie down and pop your roller at just sort of at the shoulder blades. You can even hold your elbows, and if you just do a little wiggle, lift one elbow and then the other, and you should be able to feel the shoulder blades just hitting the roller so that we know that we're just sort of at the base or just on them. And we're just going to see what our range of movement is like today. So first of all, I want you to curl up, and we're thinking of dropping the spine down towards the floor through the low ribs. And you can even tuck your pelvis back a little bit so we're scooped out. And then try not to move up to where the roller begins, but just send your upper back over and up. So careful you're not arching your back to do this. So we're just going to roll our upper body over, upper spine, and then lift back up. And I'm going to make it even smaller this time. I think I went a little bit too far. So we're not really trying to get anywhere, we're just noticing how that feels today. And then I want you to just side bend. And again, I'm trying not to move below my roller, just a kind of very upper back side bend, ear to shoulder or ear to hip and ear to hip. And just do a couple of those and take note. And then we're just going to go into a little bit of release work and see if we make a change. So we're going to bring as you leave the hands behind the head, we're going to come back into that curl, lifting the head and shoulders up nice and high. And we're just going to, we're going to go back over, but this time very small. And the feeling is that we're creating pressure on the roller. So I'm increasing the pressure just above where my spine's sitting on the roller and just below. You just do a few. And then the same thing going side to side, but I want you to really press back into the roller. So as I rotate to one side or side bend to one side, I can press to the muscles just outside the spine and then to the other way just outside the spine. It's almost like I'm giving myself a little massage with that roller. And then you're going to lift your bottom up and just do a very tiny little rolling action. Just a couple of centimeters or an inch forward and back, forward and back. And then I want you to bring yourself towards the base of the shoulder blades and come back down, and then we repeat. So we're going over very small, over and up, tiny little motion, little hinging, really massaging, kind of like 1 or 2 vertebra length in my spine. And then same thing side to side, very small, but press back into the roller, press back. I go to the left, I press the left side of my spine back. I go to the right, I press the right side back. And then lift your bottom, and again we just got a little tiny massage in that zone. And then you're going to go to the just below your shoulders. I'm just going to wiggle down a little bit so you don't lose me. So I'm at the below my shoulder blade spot now. It's a little harder to hold yourself up. Curl and lift, and then a tiny release and lift. Try and continue to drop your ribs, hammock your spine. Focus on the pressure back into the roller rather than how far you go. And then hold the up and just take a little side to side, pressing one side and the other. And I'm sort of pushing with a little bit with my feet, pressing the soft tissue into the roller that lives just to the right, just to the left of the spine. Hover your hips and then that little roll just below the shoulder blades, tiny little rolling, and come down. And then we're just going to move into the shoulder blades again, and you're going to lift one elbow up and it'll just rock you over. And in that rocking position, I'm going to lift my bottom and I'm going to make little circles around my shoulder blade, anywhere that feels good. Just rolling around, keeping my elbows forward. You'll find if you open your elbows too wide, this gets a bit lumpy in your back and you'll lose the gliding. And then hold on that side, and we're going to take the bottom arm and you're going to make a little circly, actually let's do like a infinity or an 8 on its side. And you could make it bigger And then we might just do some big circles. We might just write some flourishing, painting movements there. Take your hand back, take a big breath in and a big breath out. And then I'm going to turn my back to you to do it to the other side. So you're going to reach one elbow up to tip you across, lift your hips, and you're just going to roll, circling around the shoulder blade. I like to get towards my armpit, almost a little bit towards the spine, towards the bottom of my shoulder blades, and then up to the spine of the scapula. And then hold over there. Take the bottom hand and make some figure eights, swirling, painterly, sweeping, flowing movements, maybe some big ones. Sometimes you might wiggle into a better position, and then some big circles, maybe some random movements. And then take the hand back, take a breath in, take a breath out, and come back to center. And then we're just going to reassess. So we're going to hold the elbows again and see if you can lift one elbow and then the other and just find your shoulder blades. Take your hands behind your head and we reassess that lean back and up. And make sure you really maintain the drop of the ribs, the hammock of that spine, and just seeing how much you've got there. Does it feel freer and easier? My breath actually feels easier. So already I'm thinking I'm releasing by default my diaphragm, and then a little bit of side bending. And how does that feel? I feel a little bit like I could go forever, whereas before I definitely had an end spot, losing my roller. So side bending. And how does that feel? Beautiful work. And then we're going to come onto a bit of neck releasing. So we're going to come down and we're going to put our head on, and this time you're going to, actually we're going to start on the side. So if you lie on your side and you're going to pop your ear to the roller, and then if you just tip back a little bit, you might take this top foot to the floor, and I'll tip back until I find it's my suboccipital protrusion, which is a little bone, a round bone at the base of the skull there. So you sort of get a sense of where that is, and we're just circling the head so that the roller massage is in a little circle around that bone. And you don't need to do too many, we could go the other direction. So I've done maybe 3 or 4. It's interesting when you do this, if we can think of sort of taking our eyes with us in a nice smooth shape. Sometimes I notice people's eyes darting, particularly if they've had a bit of neck issue. Sometimes the eyes can be very connected to our head and neck movement. So if you've had some kind of trauma or a lot of pain in your neck, sometimes you lose that flow and tracking of the eyes. It's quite useful to just try and train yourself to actually look in a continuous circle. We come back to center, roll to the other side. So ear to the roller, it's like my ear hole on the roller. My top leg's just going to come up and I'm going to roll back until I find that bone, and then I'm circling. And today, whenever we're working around the neck, I want you to be very gentle. See if you can relax your jaw. We don't need to go for strong feelings, big movements, or any kind of aggressive end range experiences in our neck. We want to just keep it quite calm and gentle. Go the other direction. And if you can think of those eyes traveling with you in the circle. And then pause and come back to center. So we know where those suboccipital protrusions are now. So if we sort of want the roller to be between them, maybe at the top of them and between, and you're going to really lift your chin up. And I'm going to keep saying that because I know before I can help myself, I've dropped it down again. So we're going to keep really high with the chin, and you're just going to roll to one little nobble and then roll to the other. Now the feeling is, the sensations on the roller that we want is a dragging. Keep lifting your chin. You're trying to drag the flesh or the skin like it's buckling from one bone to the other. And so there's a little bit of pressure into the roller to do that. And I get, especially if I have a bit of a tight neck, you might hear some little crackles, pops, gristles around the flesh, around that dragging on the roller between the bones. So we don't do too many, that's probably enough. And then I want you to turn it into that infinity symbol around the bones. So you go around one, down, up and around the other. Now if the roller's in the right place, it won't be moving around. Sometimes you have a very slippery roller and it does wiggle. Mine's quite slippery. But hopefully we can do this without holding. Let's try that in the other direction. So you're going to roll down, around, up, down, around, up, and rest. Now for this last one, we're going to take the roller a little bit lower. So you're going to keep your chin up and just move the roller so that it sits at the top of the neck and the base of the skull. And then from that high lifted chin, you're going to tuck your chin, nod down, and the roller will be pressing through the top of the neck. And then lift, and it'll roll back into the skull. So right up through the occiput, through the top of the spine, where the head meets the neck or the spine meets the head. We're getting a little massage. And again, just nice and gentle, not too many. That's probably the last one. And come back to center, take a breath in and a breath out. And then you can just lift your head, roll your roller away, and we're just going to reassess back down. How do we feel here? How does that upper back feel? How do the shoulders feel? Where's the weight in the rib cage? Have we shifted anything? And just taking note, and then just turn your head right and left a couple of times and see if your range or the quality of movement through your neck turn has shifted. And rest.